recording started.
Okay, students, this is a little video on the formulas that you're going to need here, okay? Of course, you're mainly concerned about your final exam, okay? So I'm going to run through them, and we'll just ask you to take a look at this from time to time, and I'm sure it'll help you out. So remember, if you have the coordinate plane and you have 2 points on the coordinate plane and you want to find the distance between them, you're going to use the distance formula, which is d is equal to the square root of, remember you have to subtract the x's, so that's x of 2 minus x of 1 squared, plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So you need that formula to find the distance. Also, you need the midpoint formula. Now remember, what is the midpoint formula? Again, here's the coordinate plane. Here are 2 points. You're trying to find the point that is exactly in the middle. So my way of understanding that is just find the average of the x's and then the average of the y's. The average of the x's, so the 2 x's, x of 1 plus x of 2, that's their average. Y sub 1 plus y sub 2, and that's their average. So that's a midpoint formula. Now, another formula that you need to know on the coordinate plane, let me move this out of the way here, is the idea of slope. So, again, here's the coordinate plane, and here's 2 points, and we're trying to find the slope of the line that goes through those 2 points. So, obviously, you're going to need to know how to find the slope. Now remember, this is x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. Of course, we could change those around, but so the slope, little m, is equal to the distance of the y's. That's a y right there. The distance of the y's. You could say y sub 1 minus y sub 2, or y sub 2 minus y sub 1. That's this distance right here, over the distance going this way, which is x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So remember, this one right here is the slope. Slope, okay? This one is the midpoint, and then this one is the distance formula, okay? So you need to know those 3 formulas. Okay? Now, another set of formulas that we need to be very good at knowing have to do with the quadratic formula. So now remember, quadratic equation has the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Let me get a different color here. Okay. Now, remember, a is the coefficient of the squared term, b the x term, and then c the constant. Now you remember the quadratic formula, so x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? Now, there was a little song that went with that, and it went x is equal to negative b, plus or minus radical, no, plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, I really messed that up, so I'm going to do that again. X is equal to negative b plus or minus radical, b squared minus 4ac, all over 2a, Okay, that is why I didn't go in the singing career. All right, so that's the quadratic formula. And now, you know, remember how to simplify, how to set up, how to substitute values in there. Where a lot of people make their mistake is right here. So please make sure you're careful about that. What I do is when I use that formula, I just put parentheses here and here, and then I plug my numbers in, and it really does help. So just sort of keep that in mind, okay? All right. New page. The next formulas that you need to be aware of are the formulas for the line on the coordinate plane. Okay, so I don't know, I'm going to use green here. Okay, so here we go. Y is equal to mx plus b. That's a slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept. Another formula that you need to know is the point slope. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x of 1. So keep that in mind. All right, so those are two formulas about a line. Now remember how this works. Let's get the black out here. Okay, you have the coordinate plane, and you have 2 points. Okay, and you're trying to find the equation of the line that goes to the 2 points. You remember the slope or the slant of the line, that's m, and the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so that would be b. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's a part of what you need to know about the lines. Now do remember, if two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. That makes sense. If two lines are perpendicular, then they have opposite reciprocal slopes. Opposite reciprocal. Okay? So if this one was M1, that would be M1. If this one was M1, M2 would be a different. It would be, M2 would be negative 1 over M1. It would be the negative reciprocal. All right, let's move on. Now, one of the things that we did have the opportunity to study was a little bit about circles. Okay, so on the circles, there are some things that you need to know, and we'll use, what shall we use? We'll use a red. Okay, so remember, you had the center, you had a point on the circle, you had the radius, right? Okay, now if this point is on the origin, then it's 0, 0. If that point's not on the origin, it's h, k. Now the general formula of a circle is based upon the Pythagorean theorem. So remember, it went like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Okay, that's it, folks. Now, what if it's on the center where h and k are 0? Well, it's just going to be x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. It's just an application of a distance formula. So remember that. Okay. Now remember, on the equation, that's r squared. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is graphing quadratics. Getting choked up here. Let's go back to the purple here. Graphing quadratics. So here's a quadratic right here. Okay. Now remember, on the quadratic, we could take this and move it up, down, left, or right. And also remember, this was the axis of symmetry. This is called the vertex. Okay. So here are some things that you need to know. The function can be written in two forms. General form, ax squared plus bx plus c. And I'll say g of x for another form. This vertex form goes this way, a times x minus h squared plus k. These two forms you need to be very, very, very familiar with. So let me see if I could point that out. So this form, general form, this form, vertex form, needs to be very well understood. Now, a couple things about the general form. If you want to find the vertex, you want to find the h, k, you use negative b over 2a. negative b over 2a, because that gives you the x value. And then you can find the y value by plugging it in the formula. But if you have a standard form, it's very easy to see what the vertex is as h comma k. So I hope that you are okay with that and that you feel comfortable with that. And last, I would like to share, there are some things that you need to be very familiar with. Let me pick a different color. Let me go back to the blue. It's very important that you understand how to do FOIL. You could use the box method if you want to. It's very important that you review factoring. It's very important that you understand how to work with your equations. Okay, if you've been doing the problems, this should be very, very familiar with you. And don't forget CTS, not the Cadillac, okay? CTS, complete the square. That's an important procedure, and I had a song with that one as well. And then I had a worksheet. I hope this does help you with what you need.